Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today on Latakin's Nor Kitchen we're gonna make beef shawarma. Shawarma, yeah, that's true. And no matter how you say that, this Middle Eastern dish is easy to make, relatively fast, and devastatingly delicious, in particular when you're gonna use it with beef slapstick. Possibly my favorite cut of beef for frying or grilled. So let's go ahead and get started with the aforementioned meat. Prepping this stuff is extremely easy. All we need to do is cut these into small pieces so it's easier to work in the marinade. You don't want to cut it too thin, but also not too thick, so it may be somewhere in between. Just look how did I cut it here. And now you need to repeat the same until you finish the whole quantity. And then once our meat is set, we can move on to its marinade, which we will start with 3 big onions, which I'll put in a mixer and cut them very finely. But here we're not gonna use them. Instead, we're gonna squeeze them to use their juice. Yes, that's right, that will work great in tenderizing the meat. You can also use the grater too to grate them into small pieces, and then they will be squeezed. So always use the way that makes you comfortable. So now we got the juice of the onions, which will be used in the marinade. Now we're gonna go ahead and in a food processor, I'm gonna add 200 grams of yogurt, which is about 1 cup, the juice of the onions that we've prepared together, half a cup of olive oil, a juice of 1 lemon, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of chili pepper. After that, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of dry coriander, 1 teaspoon of ginger. We will also toss in 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom. And then last but not least, we need to finish this off with a half teaspoon of cinnamon. And then once all that's in there, we grab a whisk and give it a mix. If you want to use a mixing bowl, but if you're using the food processor as I'm doing, you need to pulse that several times, so the choice is always yours. At which point we can marinate our meat. Now start pouring the marinade into the pieces of beef and make sure they are all coated. Mix these in the marinade thoroughly. Make sure to use a big bowl to make this process easier for you, and once those are mixed in, we'll go ahead and cover it with a plastic wrap. And then what we'll do is transfer that into the refrigerator for 5 to 6 hours to marinate. Well, that's gonna be enough, but if you leave it overnight, that's gonna be much better, as we're using beef meat, not the lamb, one that is much softer. Now let's go ahead to prepare the sauce, which is tahini sauce. So first of all, to make tahini sauce, you need some tahini, which is nothing more than a ground sesame seed paste. So we'll toss in a bowl 3 tablespoons of yogurt, to which we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of tahini. I also added fresh juice of 1 lemon. We're also going to want a pinch of salt to taste, of course, in addition to 2 cloves of garlic. We poured all that in now. We'll mix this up, and if you find that your sauce is too thick, that's fine. You can add in some warm water, a little splash at a time, until you have the perfect texture. And what's the perfect texture? You decide. You are the Houdini of your tahini, so that's totally gonna be up to you. Some people like it thin, some people like it super thick. At that point, we're done. Except for, of course, the obligatory taste and adjust. So you want to taste this for salt, for acidity. You may want more lemon juice, and at that point it will be ready to serve actually, but I do suggest wrapping it up and putting it in the refrigerator a few hours. And after our meat has been overnight in the refrigerator, I took it out. So what I like to do at this point is pull that meat out of the marinade through laying it on a strainer. We don't mind a little bit of marinade attached to the meat, but we don't want it sopping wet. So that's what I like to do. Let it drain for 5 to 10 minutes, and once we've pulled our meat from the marinade, now we will head out to the pan where I'm gonna cook this over medium heat. So add in 2 tablespoons of margarine, and we're gonna cook that for about 3 to 4 minutes per side. Then flip those over and over again until you feel that they are cooked and ready. In which point we're ready to build our sandwiches. So step 1, you want to open some kind of pita bread, lavash, thin flat bread, but whatever your choice is. Next step is gonna put some tahini sauce on. It's essential, you can't make it without it. So spread the sauce in over your bread, and next add in your meat, place it in a line along the center. Next up is some pieces of onions, and this is optional. Then pickles. Here I'm gonna add cucumber pickles. This is essential to the shawarma sandwiches, whether it's chicken or meat. Last but not least, I'm gonna add in a little bit of fried potato, which I prepared to eat in the sandwich and next to the shawarma dish. And by the way, this is optional, but if you have kids, I think this is a must. You can add tomato to it and turnip pickles, but the classical shawarma has only cucumber pickles. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and roll the sandwich by folding both sides of the bread over the filling, then lift off the bottom of the bread and roll it over the fillings to the top. Collect the corners in towards the center, and then it's done. What I'm gonna do next is putting these in the leftover margarine that we used to fry the meat in a grill pan. Grill it for about 30 seconds on each side. Here I flip them to the other side as the first one is done. And since we're fancy, this is an extra step, which you can skip it. And now our shawarma wraps or sandwiches are done. Now let's go ahead and cut that in half. But before, I'm gonna throw in a little bit of parsley just because I had it, and a splash of pomegranate molasses, because these needs to be dippable, so make sure you cut it diagonally. That's make it easier to dip, and as you know, people love pointy food, so we're gonna throw that on a plate with bead tip. If you wanna know how I made it, it's in my short videos on YouTube. You can go there and see it. Another dip is gonna be tahini sauce, so we have 2 dips for this, and it's time to taste. What we're really supposed to be doing here is picking that sandwich up, dipping it in, or putting some of the dipping on it. Let it take that delicious and highly flavored dip, and we're gonna eat that just like a classic dip bite, dip bite, dip bite. So anyway, there you go, another recipe. I really do hope you give this a try soon, and be sure to check out my channel where you can find more recipes. It's a restaurant quality recipe where you can easily make at home. Thanks for watching. You can find the full written recipe in the description box below, and if you liked my video, please make sure to subscribe, like, follow and share so you can help me get more people to reach Latakian's Nor Kitchen. See you later. Bye bye.